Welcome back to DotLife. We are here for this week's Tiny Dot concert with one of a cool instrument that I've never seen before that also has a name, and the instrument's traveling companion, Chelsea Spear. Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, nice to see you again. How are you today, Erin?
Doing great. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
appreciate
of course.
it.
I'm glad to be here.
You came in from Malden this morning.
I did come in from Malden this morning.
Awesome.
I took the orange line to the red line, and
Okay.
once I plugged the address into Maps, I actually graduated from UMass Boston.
Oh, perfect. So you knew where you were going.
So I knew where I was going. It was one of those, like, I plugged it in, and I'm like, oh right, I passed that 1,000 times.
How's the train today?
It was okay. I mean, the T,
Yeah.
it's a
Hit or miss.
Hit or miss,
Yeah.
but today it was more hit than miss. So
That's great. Love to hear that.
yeah, definitely.
And the weather's beautiful.
The weather is
So
gorgeous.
it's nice
yes.
to have the sun coming in the windows finally.
Absolutely. Yeah. It feels like we earned it.
It does. It does. It's been a slog.
Yeah.
But so you are here with Brindle,
Yep.
and tell us a little bit about Brindle.
Okay. So this is a banjolele, and it's called that because it has a banjo head, but it's tuned like a ukulele.
Okay.
This one was actually made in Western Massachusetts by a company called Magic Fluke. And they did, about a decade ago, they did a limited edition run. Janet Klein is like an old-timey musicologist, and she has a band called the Parlor Boys out in Los Angeles. And she plays the ukulele, and it's a big deal in the ukulele world. And she's also a cartoonist. She worked on Over the Garden Wall, and about a decade ago, she and one of her collaborators, Tom Foolery, drew this banjo head, where she's drawn as a firefly who's doing the shim sham. And I had gotten my tax return, and I was like, I want a banjolele, and I want that banjolele. and then I got it, and it kind of sat on my floor for a couple of years. I made a record a couple of years ago called Notes from Undergrad, and I'm like, I want banjolele on this. So I got this one, and I got this one out of Camphor. And then I made a record called Number One in Heaven starring Travels with Brindle that I recorded at the Boston Public Library, and I wanted it to have like an old-timey 1920s, 30s sound. Mm-hmm. So I figured, like I played the banjolele on notes. Why don't I, bust her out again for this album? And I think I'm probably like a banjolele girl from here on out.
So banjolele is a portmanteau that is not made up by you. It's an actual
instrument. It even says on here the Firefly Flapper banjolele.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you.
What got you into banjolele?
So I got into ukulele about a decade ago, or over a decade ago at this point. My mom used to have these epic Christmas parties. Someone brought and she would have a Yankee swap, and someone brought a ukulele, like a really cheap plywood ukulele. Mm-hmm. And at the time I was self-employed, and I was really gunning for the Stoppies gift card. And I ended up taking the banjolele home, and I'm looking at it, or the ukulele home.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it going, what am I going to do with this?
Right.
And then a couple years later, I had a year of service with AmeriCorps, and one of my other big hobbies is knitting. I couldn't afford to knit because yarn is expensive, but I figured, you have a ukulele and you're one and done, theoretically. So I started to teach myself to play ukulele. I worked with a ukulele teacher in Somerville named Amy Kucharek, who has a band called Tiger Moan, and who herself is a bit of a musicologist and is a blues player. And I spent a year doing that. At the end of the year, I knew a lot of chord shapes, and I had some cover songs in my pocket, so I got a busking license from the MBTA. I spent a year playing all 56 T-stops.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one to play?
Oh, I actually, sound-wise, I really like the corridor between Park Street and Downtown Crossing, because you have that really nice natural reverb.
Yeah.
It's
a terrible place to be.
It's a terrible place. Like, it's smelly.
Yeah.
And it's desolate.
Dirty.
It's dirty, but it was great to be in there. And, like, the ukulele doesn't have a lot of natural reverb, but it was great to, like, play a note, and then you could hear it down the hall, 30 seconds later. So that I really liked that. I also have fond memories of playing in Quincy Center, and there was a woman who was fixing one of the Charlie card vending machines, and she stopped and she gave a $5 bill to one of the commuters, and he left it in my case, and he said, just so you know, that lady over there who's been fixing the vending machines thinks you have a nice voice.
Oh, wow.
And she's standing there and she waved at me and I waved back at her. So I have like very fond memories
That's very
of
sweet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the two memories that stick out in terms of like my favorite spots to play on the tee.
But then you went from busking. Do you still busk?
Not now. I'm hoping, I've been thinking about like going back in the winter, and I have a lot of Christmas and holiday songs, and I've been more involved with like soloing. So I've been thinking about just whipping that out, between Thanksgiving and December 24th.
Okay.
And just, taking the Orange Line to Downtown Crossing every morning, and, assuming, like trying to figure out what I'm going to do for work. But,
Yeah.
go there and then just play in that corridor, in that like awful, desolate, smelly corridor, and just bring some beauty to that and play some Christmas songs.
Oh, that's lovely.
I haven't busked in a while. I think part of it is that I've been so hyper focused on the album of original music I released a couple of years ago, and now this covers album, and now also the Dorothy Parker album that I've been working on.
Okay.
And I've just been more focused on those, and those are hard things to do if you're busking.
Yeah, I can imagine. When you say you're recording it at BPL, this is the downtown
Yes,
location.
the
And do
Copley
they have their
Square.
own?
They do.
like,
They have
studio space?
They have a maker space in the basement. It's part of the Kirstein. It's the KBLIC, the Kirstein Business or Kirstein Library and Business Information Center.
Okay.
I got the acronym wrong, but it's okay.
That's okay.
And they have like a little maker space where they have a green screen. They have video cameras you can check out. There's a graphic design Mac, and then there are 2 Macs that they use for recording.
That's awesome.
And like there are some very like kind of strict, I guess, like you can only go in for 6 hours a week, 2 hours a day. And so you really have to be on the ball.
Yeah.
You have to be really focused.
Yeah.
But I was able to. I spent about 4 months down there recording my latest EP, recording the covers album. Mm-hmm. And I've been down there as frequently as I can be to work on the Dorothy Parker album as well.
And when do you expect that one to drop?
It's a funny thing. My goal was to have all of the ukulele tracked by today, and that hasn't happened.
Was that because today is a milestone day?
It's my birthday. But it was also, I had been recording at the Cambridge Library, which also has a makerspace, and their makerspace is available for much fewer hours. So I moved over to the BPL, and it's easier to get to, but it's also one of those like, like time gets away from you sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I've been, trying to balance that and a couple of other things. I'm about 60% done with the ukulele. I'm hoping to record the vocals this summer with my friend Joel. And then my initial plan was to release it on what would have been Dorothy Parker's 134th birthday, which is next year. This project that I've been working on has legs. And there's going to be a second version of the live show with this, and my dream is to take it to Edinburgh for the Fringe Festival. But it's one of those. I'd like to take this to Ed Fringe, but I would also like a pony. So we'll see which one happens first.
Tell us about what you're going to play for us today.
So I'm playing 2 songs from the covers EP that I did, which is called Number One in Heaven, starring Travels with Brindle. I recorded this 2 years ago. There's a band called Sparks. They're from Los Angeles. They are they were the subject of an Edgar Wright movie, which is going to be a much easier way for me to describe them than what they sound like. But they're this very eclectic. They're these 2 brothers, these 2 very eccentric brothers in Los Angeles. They've been around since the late 1960s. They just released their 28th album a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And in 1979, they released one of my favorite albums of all time. It's a covers album. It's their disco album. And I saw them a couple years ago, and I could hear like melodically that like if you took away the synthesizers, it sounds like something you'd hear in a 1930s movie musical.
Okay.
And I said, all right, I need to follow that. And so I spent 4 months recording it in the in the bowels of the BPL. So I will be playing Beat the Clock, which has a big solo. I'm playing Number One in Heaven. And I've interpolated an Irving Berlin song called Angels of Mercy, because if you know the original Sparks song, there's a big instrumental part, and I couldn't get that right, but I figured, let me just put this 1940s Irving Berlin song in there.
Okay.
It works really well. I'm playing one of the songs from the Dorothy Parker album that this is the first time I've played it outside of my bedroom. It's called Indian Summer. I've recorded it. I entered it in a contest with WNYC. We'll see if it gets anywhere. Hopefully they like it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be finishing out with a real crowd pleaser called When You Wish Upon a Star.
I know that one.
Yeah, I figured you did. Like if you've been to the movies in the past 80 years, you've heard it.
Yeah.
I chose that one because Cliff Edwards, who was the voice of Jiminy Cricket, was a ukulele player and a singer in the 20s and 30s and 40s. And he led a life very unlike Jiminy Cricket's. Also, you can look his Wikipedia entry as a ride.
Okay.
And I wanted to pay tribute to him in some way. And Christopher Davis Shannon, who is an online ukulele teacher and another musicologist. I feel like if you play ukulele, you have to, there's a point where you just start collecting songs. But Christopher Davis Shannon did a really lovely arrangement of When You Wish Upon a Star for solo ukulele. And I closed my Dorchfest set out with that, and
perfect.
It went over really well.
Yes.
So, yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, you've been at Dorchfest for 4 years now.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll have you back next year. And I'm excited to hear you play.
Thank you. I'm excited to play for you.
Let's go.
All right. Hello, I'm Chelsea. This is Brindle. Together we're Travels with Brindle. And I'm going to play you some songs from my new album, the Sparks Covers album Number 1 in Heaven, starring Travels with Brindle. This is called Beat the Clock. I was born a little premature. Mom just couldn't take no more. Had no time to wonder why. Goodbye, mama, gotta fly. Bye, 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 bye. Entered school when I was 2. PhD that afternoon. Never ever entered sports. Didn't look too good in shorts. Got divorced when I was 4. I've seen everything there is. I've done everything there is. I've met everyone but Liz. Now I've even met old Liz. No time for relationship. Skip the foreplay, let her rip. Gotta beat the clock. Gotta beat the clock. Gotta beat the clock. Gotta beat the clock. I did lots of traveling, parts of me unraveling. The army then rejected me, said I had 2 left feet, wore them out when I was 3. Too bad there ain't 10 of you, then I'll show you what I'll do. I could cheat on 5 of you and be faithful to you too, but there's only one of you. I've seen everything there is, I've done everything there is, I've met everyone but Liz, now I've even met old Liz. No time for relationship, skip the foreplay, let her rip, gotta beat the clock, gotta beat the clock, gotta beat the clock, gotta beat the clock. Thank you. So my second song, and I'm just going to take the chord sheets out, it's called The Number One Song in Heaven. It's technically the title track. We'll see if this stays out. If you've ever seen Sparks live, there's a point in the song where there's like a drop, and Ron comes out and he does this kind of shuffling Charleston style dance. I couldn't really do an electronica style drop on the banjolele, so I figured I would insert a little bit of an Irving Berlin song from the 40s called Angels of Mercy. So this is The Number One Song in Heaven. This is the number one song in heaven, written, of course, by the mightiest hand. All of the angels are sheep in the fold of their master. They always follow the master and his plan. This is the number one song in heaven. Are you hearing it now? You ask. Maybe you're closer to here than you imagined. Maybe you're closer to here than you care to be. If you should die before you wake, if you should die The song I'm about to play is the first semi-original that I've written probably since 2022. Last summer, I made a challenge to myself to write one very short song where I took the lyrics from a Dorothy Parker poem and I put them to music. And I wanted to try to get them to be shorter than 3 minutes. And I've actually started recording that album at the BPL. And it's called, the working title is Mrs. Parker Jams Econo. It's a reference to a band called the Minutemen. And this is the second song. It's called Indian Summer. In youth it was a way I had to do my best to please. In youth it was a way I had to do my best to please. To change with every passing fad to suit his theories. Now I know the way I know and do the things I do. Now I know the way I know and do the things I do. If you do not like me so, to hell my love with you. And for my fourth and final song, so one of my influences for this was a guy named Cliff Edwards, who was a ukulele player and a crooner in the 1930s. He predated Sinatra, and he was kind of this hard-living vaudeville guy who played the ukulele, and I was really drawn to his style. He had this really lovely casual way of singing that I liked a lot, and he had kind of an interesting way of playing the ukulele. I'm using the word interesting too much. You probably don't know him by name, but if you've been to the movies at all in the past 80 years, you've definitely heard the song he created. So this is that. Thank you, DotLife Podcast.